News. So much news this week. What'd you guys think? Newsy?
It was a pretty newsy week. Not like the most newsiest week.
I guess so. That and more to come on this episode of We're workshopping the name.
Info hazard. News of the week. News of the week. Info hazard. Dangerous news.
Hazard.
Just say
Hazardous
as many
news.
titles as you
Danger
can,
hazard.
and then we can just edit out the ones we don't like to.
There you go.
Danger news. Danger hazard.
Fart
Thundercat.
news.
Thunderwick. Dust wagon.
Yes. Maybe it would
News
work better if
wagon.
we just said phonemes and stitched them together.
There we go, dude.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft Sam style.
The big item that I saw in the news this week is more stuff that Donald Trump said. He said that the FCC should consider revoking news networks' licenses if they criticize him, because criticizing them is all they do. What do you guys think? Good idea?
Trump's been watching News Hazard.
I think if he wants people to criticize him less, he should consider retiring. Or maybe suck less. One of those two.
I remember back in 2016, I was reading an article that was talking about how Howard Stern, who was like really close friends with Donald Trump, thought that him running for president was a terrible idea because Donald Trump doesn't like being criticized, and the president gets criticized a lot.
We'd all listen to Howard Stern more
Well, I don't know about that, but
in that case.
I think it takes a particular sort of person to receive constant criticism and find the fault with everybody, not with oneself. And I think that overlap with I should run for president is just, that Venn diagram is a circle.
Yeah, it does take a certain type, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The California law was passed and signed into law, prevents law enforcement from wearing masks. This was in response, of course, to all the ICE officers going around wearing masks, freaking everyone out. Law enforcement agencies are widely opposed. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokeswoman for the DHS, says sanctuary politicians are trying to outlaw officers wearing masks to protect themselves from being doxxed and targeted by known and suspected terrorist sympathizers. So, what do you think?
Al-Qaeda is at work in America, apparently. No, I don't know. Like, this is great. More states to follow, I imagine. I mean, this is inevitably gonna be challenged in the courts, but yeah, I think that we should know our public servants.
yeah, the whole reason we don't have secret police is so they can be held accountable if they do things wrong.
Right, I know judges aren't allowed to remain anonymous, even though they
Have been
confront
targeted.
criminals and punish criminals. I mean, people should not go around doxing people. Like, if you have a lot of anger and you're, on the internet a lot, you should leave a comment on info hazard videos. But
Never stop
Yeah.
plugging.
But I think that, like, all police officers all the time, like, we rely on them, but also, we expect them to do their jobs with integrity, and ICE has not been doing this, and so they haven't earned this. Maybe if they weren't acting like lawless thugs, maybe we would be okay with them wearing masks.
I'm gonna hop in the time machine and go back 5 years exactly. And I'm gonna, tell everyone about how we're trying to get people to stop wearing masks in California, but only California has agreed to this.
We have a law, no masks. No, but there is a carve out for if they have COVID, or they're allowed to wear the whatever respirator or mask thingy.
So they're just gonna start wearing the respirator masks? There's gonna
You
be
know,
those COVID numbers are gonna go way up in the coming
all the
months.
ICE agents. Like,
Yeah.
fun fact: this is a bill by Scott Wiener, the same Wiener who has that YIMBY near public transit bill. I said when I found out about that he's my second favorite Wiener in California, but he's making a run for number one.
I have an ambivalent relationship to my own wiener. Scott Wiener number one.
Solely
Stand
mine.
tall, Scott Wiener.
I mean, way better than the
Proud and
wiener who
erect.
got Donald Trump to win the 2016 election, right?
There's a Wiener who got.
Yeah, that was
Anthony Wiener?
yeah, he was like sending emails with a campaign staffer or something, and this is where Comey found the extra emails that he
Okay.
had to make an announcement about right before the election.
I'm not sure I would blame the whole election on that, but yeah, probably didn't help. What a dick, huh? Ayman Soleiman, an immigrant, an asylum seeker, was detained, early on in the Trump presidency, but he was released this week. He's actually a chaplain at a Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Butler County, Pennsylvania. So, community mobilization, legal efforts, well, another victory for not just rounding people up and cruelly kicking them out for being immigrants. So, yeah.
Look at that, dude. That's like a few pieces of good news in a row. Incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah, dude. Well, so much for that. So next item, lots of fallout this week from Charlie Kirk's assassination. Jimmy Kimmel was fired for his comment after the assassination. He said that the people on the right were desperately trying to characterize Tyler Robinson, the man charged in Kirk's murder, as anything other than one of them.
So he didn't even actually say anything about Charlie Kirk directly.
That's right. He didn't say anything about well, or at least not in that quote, the one that is being repeated as the most offensive one. I think it's a pretty dumb comment. But I also think, it's pretty hard to do comedy without saying really dumb shit every now and then. This definitely feels more to me like say sorry about it next time than a get fired kind of a comment. But
Similar to
Disney's
saying
trying to
that we should kill all homeless people in the entire country, right?
What about that?
A Fox News host said that on the air, and he just had to apologize, but he wasn't fired.
That's right,
Yeah.
because Charlie Kirk wasn't homeless.
No one was threatening to pull Fox's broadcast license, though I think they are actually safe from that. This only applies to the major networks. Cable broadcasting isn't subject to the same sort of like FCC scrutiny.
So weird, right? Like these things are indistinguishable from my point of view. Like ABC News versus Fox News, like these are.
Because Fox doesn't like broadcast over an antenna. You can't just you have to pay to receive Fox News. You can't just pick it up off the air, I think.
To me, the thing that's really annoying about this, Disney just is trying to have it both ways. Just, the parent company, the company that fired Jimmy Kimmel. They're trying to say that they fired him for what he said. To the public, they're saying, well, what he said was out of line, and you can't say that shit. You're fired. And of course, to Trump behind closed doors, they're like, "See, we're going along with you. Let us do our mergers. All that shit."
But okay, so speaking of being free of FCC scrutiny, we don't have a broadcast license. We're free to comment on this. I don't think what he said was out of line. The president and the administration was trying to characterize Tyler Robinson as not conservative. I happen to think that the evidence suggests that he is not conservative, but they definitely were trying to characterize him as not conservative, right?
Yeah, they even made statements they had to walk back about how the bullets had transgender ideology on the casings and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, memes, not trans.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as a transgender ideology.
The way I kind of heard it was, it seemed to me like he was basically saying that the killer was MAGA, right? Like they're acting like he's not just one of them, basically assuming that the killer was right wing.
But that's not what he said. He said they're desperately trying to characterize him as anything other than one of them. Which is true. That is what they were doing. You might think that the implication of that statement is that Jimmy Kimmel thinks Tyler Robinson is MAGA, but
yeah, I did.
He's not actually talking about that. He's talking about the actions of the administration.
My opinion is not that it was out of line. I'm saying that Disney might have said that what he said is out of line. My opinion is that it was dumb. I don't and by dumb, I mean just a silly thing to focus on. First of all, of all the things that the administration is doing, acting like the shooter is not MAGA is not the thing to make fun of. That wasn't the dumbest stuff that they were doing.
Well, as a fellow entertainer, I have great sympathy for Mr. Kimmel here, having to come up with content over and over again. But we're basically the same scale of entertainer, he and I, so I feel very qualified to opine on the subject.
Yeah, definitely.
We write out all of our jokes in advance, and we run them all directly past John Oliver, and he passes it around the other late night hosts, and that's how we come up with 100% original content.
Real collaborative it's a brotherhood, really. Right. So anyway, yeah, he got fired on the same week that, Donald Trump is threatening these stations to revoke their FCC licenses if they are overly critical of him. It just frustrates me that, so many of these big, powerful people and companies in our economy are doing the administration's bidding, even while the administration's bidding is while they're acting like they have far more power than they have, basically preemptively giving up power.
It's frustrating that all these free speech warriors are calling for people to be fired for speech, dude. At least stick to your fucking principles.
Well, hold on.
Stay respectable.
That's true. That's true. Well, though, I mean, look, freedom of speech is different than freedom to not be fired for your speech, which they should have realized when they were whining about cancel culture in the first place, that if someone says really inflammatory shit, then they can get fired for it. No one has to hire you. Anyway, but yeah.
It's
So,
freedom of speech, not freedom from consequences.
indeed.
Poor Jimmy Kimmel's in the breadline now.
Yeah, poor guy. He's going to have to focus on his kid book writing. Part of this fallout has been a lot of accusation back and forth about, which side is more violent. And, so here's a quote. "The data is clear," said lied J.D. Vance. "People on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence." What do you guys think? Does that check with your understanding of political violence?
No, dude, most people are right-handed, and therefore the right commits most political violence
It's flawless.
because
No
they use their
notes.
primary hand.
It's analysis so simple a 5-year-old could understand it. That's the sort of insight we bring here at Info News Has or Danger.
Okay, here's an Economist article that goes over some polling on this. So point number one, it really depends how you ask the question. So these are the answers among some different age groups. Of is it ever justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals? The percent responding yes, and people who identify as liberal were like 6 times more likely. Like 30% of them answered yes in the 18 to 39 age range, of which all of us are a part. And then it was like about 5% of people who identified as conservatives. The numbers got closer as the ages went up.
I like that, as you mature, it gets down to below 10 for all groups. I also like how in the 18 to 39 bracket, moderates are more likely to want to employ political violence than conservatives.
Well,
In this-
and like
Those radical moderates.
exactly. But I mean, so yeah, I do want to just focus on the wording here. Is it ever justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals is different than saying is it currently justified? Well, very different.
Yeah.
Here's an alternate alternate.
Wait. If you go back,
Yeah.
an alternate take on that is only 5% of conservatives are in favor of the American Revolution.
Exactly.
I was gonna say,
Exactly.
that 18 to 39 bracket, that is the classic revolutionary demographic. Your Alexander Hamiltons and Robespierres.
Here's an alternate phrasing. If you ask whether true American patriots should resort to violence to save our country, pollsters found that Republicans were more likely than Democrats to endorse violence. So that's chart number 2. Is that this one? Yes, this is the things have gotten so far off track, true American patriots have to resort to violence. So if you ask the question like this, then, okay, it changes over time, but it looks mostly Republicans are about floating around 3 times more likely to be in favor of violence than Democrats, according to the polls when you ask the question like that.
That's nuts. So the same people are like, well, this is never justified, except for right now.
Except if you're a true
I should go
patriot.
kill someone.
Unless
Yeah,
you're a
true
true
patriots.
patriot. So basically, true patriot is coded right-wing language. If you want to sell, chocolate bars to Republicans, call them true patriot chocolate.
Get a true patriot in your mouth.
Gargle
Here's another-
that patriotism.
Right. Another interesting point is just how time dependent this is. I think even the concepts of right and left, or whatever, liberal and conservative, are so different in different times and places, what they actually mean. You see very different answers to questions of how supportive people are or how worried people are about political violence, depending on recent events like Charlie Kirk's assassination. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, Republicans think that political violence is a bigger problem than Democrats do. In the wake of the Melissa Hortman assassination, Democrats thought that political violence was a bigger problem than Republicans do. In the wake of attempts on Donald Trump's life, Republicans thought it was higher than Democrats did. In the wake of an attempt on Paul Pelosi's life, Democrats thought it was a bigger problem than Republicans did. So it's shocking. And, what else is shocking is when J.D. Vance says that the data is clear, he's full of shit.
The data is clearly unclear. Everybody can see what they want, dude.
My last item for the news today. For the third time in the last couple of weeks, the military has claimed the destruction of another drug smuggling boat. Narco terrorists, they call them. The U.S. military has been doing a buildup and kind of starting to blow up a lot of boats coming out of Venezuela, claiming that they're drug smugglers. Who knows whether we should believe them?
I think this is maybe not even a Trump thing. I think that, like, once you put this much money into an organization with this many guns and you don't have an active war going on, they get antsy and they kind of take it out on, some easy targets. Boats in this case. Boats full of alleged narco-terrorists.
Yes, indeed.
I have an item today.
Yay.
Briefly, Eye of Sauron passed off of Elon Musk and onto Larry Ellison, who was briefly the history's richest person. The 81-year-old businessman and entrepreneur experienced the largest growth in net worth ever, with a $167 billion rise so far in 2025, much of his wealth tied to his 40% stake in Oracle. He owns Lanai, the sixth largest island in Hawaii, and you might ask, hey, what gives? What is so deserving of $167 billion? Like, why is he getting so rich? Well, he owns a
Job
large stake of
creating, I
Oracle.
assume.
Yeah.
Innovation.
Actually, the
He worked
opposite.
really hard this year, dude. He worked so hard. Really, really hard for an 81-year-old.
He earned this much money for attempting to end job creation, destroy the jobs of all for everyone going forward by heavily investing in AI, specifically Oracle Cloud hosting and massive outlays into AI data centers. Is what most people have been reporting on why Oracle got expensive stock-wise, but that's actually not true. What happened was there were massive stock buybacks, which increased the price-to-earnings ratio of the outstanding shares and artificially raised their earnings per share, which artificially raised share price and consolidated the wealth and ownership in the hands of Larry Ellison. Oracle bought back 45% of outstanding shares. This just giant contraction of shares, which rocketed up the price because I was like, hey, Oracle's buying back their shares, that means that they must be worth something. So the price goes up, and then that increases the total price of Oracle's shares. And now Oracle's worth a lot. And because Larry Ellison owns a lot of Oracle, Larry Ellison is worth a lot.
Yep. Well, but then he lost it. He lost first place, and it's Elon again, or?
Elon saw how hard he was working, and he worked extra hard to catch up, dude.
That's what
It's
it
like,
was,
We
actually.
need to innovate harder, and so then he innovated harder.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it must have been because Elon solved the problem of underground tunneling. The Boring Company prices went straight through the roof. Or maybe he discovered the secret to actually get that Hyperloop working. Maybe that's what rocketed him past Larry Ellison.
Must have been.
But yeah, that's your business news of the week and all the news.
That's it. Nothing else happened last week. You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us on News Info Hazard Danger News. Goodbye.
Later.